Hello, everybody. It is Brian Rundle, Black and White with Brian Rundle and Lana Quest. It is Friday night, so it is just me, Brian Rundle, on the Black and White show, or Black and White with Brian Rundle and Lana Quest. I thank anybody that has a chance to join me tonight. I actually wasn't even going to do the show. I know it's late. My Mets were on tonight, a very, very important game for them. They actually pulled it off. And we are playing again on Sunday night. We are going to be playing game 6, down 3-2. So it is crucial we win the next 2 games. It's going to be very tough, but we will see what happens. But that's why I'm on late tonight. I didn't even really have a lot of time to prepare, but there was just so much that happened over the week that I just could not come on and talk about it. I may be talking to myself tonight. Who knows? We may have some viewers coming in and out. And I, of course, as always, feel free to jump in on the comments, and any comments that you have, negative, positive, I don't care. We'll address them either way. But, let's get right to the start of the show. It has been a very busy week for both presidential candidates, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Both of them had weeks that seem to have gone in completely different directions. One actually enhanced their status and their reason for being the president of the United States, and one continued to show why he has absolutely no business even running. It's been such a bad week for him, but we're going to go over the different clips and the different things that have happened over the week between the two of them. The first ones I'm going to play happened last week, and this was Kamala Harris joining Charlemagne the God on The Breakfast Club, which reaches a huge Black audience, reaches a huge male audience, which appears as if that is going to be something that she is going to do, and she's not going to shy away from it, because a lot of times when there seems like a demographic or there seems like a state that just is completely out of play or might be on the fringe of out of play, people tend to shy away from that. But she's not doing that. She is going everywhere, and she is not afraid to sit down and talk with anybody. But the first clip that I have here is her with Charlemagne. And the first question that he asked her is what is going to be her plan for the Black community?
Trying to scare people away because they know they otherwise have nothing to run on. Ask Donald Trump what his plan is for Black America. Ask him. I'll tell you what it is. Look at Project 2025. Project 2025 tells you the plan includes making police departments have stop and frisk policies. The plan includes making it more difficult for workers to receive overtime pay. The plan includes ending the ability of Medicare to negotiate drug prices. You know what we have done? He said he would. We did, which means that's how we brought down the cost of prescription medication. His plan includes making it more difficult for working people to get by and to destroy our democracy. You know what he says he'll do? Terminate the Constitution of the United States.
That's right.
Let me remind folks, you know what's in the Constitution of the United States? The 4th Amendment, which protects you against unreasonable searches and seizures. The 5th Amendment, the 6th Amendment, the 14th Amendment. And he's going to terminate the Constitution of the United States, which in most of those amendments, one thing or another was about a movement spurred by Black people to ensure that we would be equally protected under the law. Come on.
Now, the next clip is a good one because he asked her this thing about being the border czar, that everybody says that she was in charge of the border, which absolutely was not true. Joe Biden never put her in charge of the border and never named her the border czar, but he asked her about that.
You allowed him to call you the border czar when that's not even that wasn't your role.
I'm not giving him permission for that.
Oh, you're right. But but I mean, you don't push back on it because that wasn't your role. What?
Fact checkers have made that clear. Look, if I responded to every name he called me, I wouldn't be focused on the things that actually help the American people, and that's my focus.
That is true. Before we go to talk.
I do like that. We are just going to deflect basically from the name calling and from the childish campaign that Donald Trump is running, has always run, and she's not going to get suckered into it. You know, the reason why he won in 2016 is because people didn't know what hit them. They didn't understand it. So what they tried to do is they tried to hit back, and they went into his sandbox and tried to take his pail, tried to take his little shovel, and it's not going to work. When you're in his sandbox, he knows exactly how to navigate that box and knows how to really get into your head, really mess you up. And, too many people have gotten suckered into that game. I mean, hell, even Joe Biden in the 2020 debates, you could see that first debate was so contentious. It was so uncomfortable to watch. It was probably the most uncomfortable debate that I had ever watched. Even the one where Joe Biden underperformed in the last one. But it was uncomfortable because it was just so gross and nasty and disgusting. And it wasn't even a debate. It was just Donald Trump acting like a fool and yelling over people and not letting anybody talk. And Joe got a little bit like, well, you shut up, man. I mean, that was the worst of it from Joe. But, she's not getting suckered into this. In fact, she has completely turned the tables on him, and it's driving him so crazy that she's not getting sucked into it, that he's trying every angle he can. They're all trying to do it. They think that she's dumb enough to fall for them calling her the wrong name on purpose. Do you think she gives a shit whether you call her Kamala, Kamala, whatever it is that you want to do, and you're doing it on purpose? She doesn't fall for that. She's way too smart for all of you. She doesn't care about what you call her. But what you are going to be calling her in just a little over 2 weeks as president of the United States, that I am very sure of. But this is the last clip from the Breakfast Club. And this is her talking about Donald Trump and just about what a weak, pathetic man he is.
Again, here's Charlemagne. One of the things that I think is really ironic, but at play. Donald Trump, through his way of trying to name call and demean and divide, tries to project as though those things are a sign of strength, when in fact the man is really quite weak. He's weak. It's a sign of weakness that you want to please dictators and seek their flattery and favor. It's a sign of weakness that you would demean America's military and America's service members. It's a sign of weakness that you don't have the courage to stand up for the Constitution of the United States and the principles upon which it stands. This man is weak and he is unfit.
It's so simple to get into the head of Donald Trump, and who could do it more than a woman of color continuously calling him weak? Because he is weak. He's a very weak-minded, sad, pathetic excuse of a man. And there are tons of people who actually think that he's manly. They think that he is the reason why they're voting for him, because how could Kamala Harris ever sit down and talk to Vladimir Putin? Are you kidding me? She could never handle Vladimir Putin. Are you kidding me? I saw Donald Trump bow down to Vladimir Putin in front of the entire world when he said, no, he's telling the truth. I mean, it's really our intelligence agencies that are getting it wrong, not Vlad, not my buddy. And Vladimir Putin's laughing his ass off. He is begging. He is dying for Donald Trump to win the presidency of the United States. He's dying for it because he knows he will own him. Only problem is that he won't totally be in control. I think anybody that is that really follows this stuff understands that it's Donald Trump is going to be a figurehead. He's going to be in office so he doesn't have to go to jail. He's going to play golf every day. And J.D. Vance is really going to be running the country along with Stephen Miller. When Steve Bannon gets out of prison, he'll be involved. Mike Flynn, these characters. And they are going to implement their sycophants and nuts into government if he wins. But as I said before, I keep saying that, don't get scared, don't worry about it, because he's not winning, regardless of what you see on Polymarket. Let me explain Polymarket to you, by the way. Polymarket is a gambling site. First of all, Americans cannot bet on that website. It's only for people outside of the country. And it is my understanding you can only use crypto on that website. So an out of country betting site that uses crypto only has Donald Trump as the favorite. I assure you that is absolutely nothing to be afraid of. I don't even know why this has entered the atmosphere of the election, as it is something that we need to look at and pay attention to. Polymarket means nothing. Do not look at Polymarket. Don't listen to it. And in fact, most of the polls here in this country right now mean nothing. They really don't. What we are seeing, though, is we are seeing the returns of early voting. And the people who are actually voting are the ones that you need to pay attention to. And pretty much every swing state, not only are the Democrats coming out early, sending in their ballots early, voting early, in large numbers. They're doing it in record numbers. Over 1 million people already in Georgia, already 1 million people in Michigan. These are the things that you need to be looking at. These are the things that you need to say, how do I gauge this the best? That's the best way to do it. But back to her appearance on the Breakfast Club, I do want to say, and this is something actually I want to ask Lana on Tuesday night. People would think that going into something like the Breakfast Club is a softball interview for Kamala Harris. And I disagree with that, because I do believe that you do have a community that wants her to do well and possibly wants her to win. But the community also doesn't just give her a free pass because she's Black. That doesn't happen in the Breakfast Club and in the Black community. It is, they do hold each other accountable and to standards. And I do believe that that's not something that she was going into thinking this is going to be a breeze for me, because regardless of the questions, even, she knows that there's a weight of people staring at her, looking at her, listening to her, and saying, you know, you really need to get this right. And there's pressure on her, because there just is more pressure on a presidential candidate, A, that's Black, and B, that's a woman. How do you argue with that? Would anybody out there argue with that? If you do, please explain to me where I'm wrong. I'm not really sure you can convince me, but I'm willing to listen to hear what it is that you have to say. Baby Juggernaut has joined. Trump's so jealous of Kamala's swag, her laughter kills him. There's absolutely no question about it, Baby Juggernaut, and thank you for joining. I appreciate you as always. It drives him batshit crazy, insane, and you could see it as the week has gone on. The reports are that he's just exhausted. He is dropping out left and right of interviews. He wouldn't do the 60 Minutes interview. He dropped out of a MSNBC or a CNBC interview, which is usually not, they're pretty friendly to the Republicans and Donald Trump. He dropped out of a interview with the NRA. You talk about friendly. He dropped out of that. He looks exhausted. He sounds exhausted. And there's part of him that can't wait until this is over. But his biggest problem is going to be when it's over, he's really going to be exhausted. He's going to have to make a very quick decision as to whether or not he wants to stick around and stay in this country, or he wants to spend the rest of his life in jail. But that's for another time, just over a little 2 weeks until the election. But he did do some interviews, and boy, they did not go well. He went to the Economic Club of Chicago, the economic something like that. And he was being interviewed in this very first clip. He was asked how he is going to cut government spending. This is his answer. See what you can make of it.
Something you will do that will get rid of government spending.
Well, let me give you an example. When I came into government, I was the first thing.
An example going forward.
Well,
not
no, but
what you
this
did in
is
the
this
past.
is going forward because it's the same thing. When I first sat down, a general came into my office and he said, "Sir, it's nice to meet you. Would you please sign this?" I said, "What is it?" "It's a contract for a new Air Force One, which is actually 2 planes, not one, 2 Boeing 747. And I said, "How much is it?" $5.7 billion. It's a hell of an expensive plane, but there's reasons for that. And he said, "Nope, I'm not signing it." I said, "Who negotiated it?" "Barack Hussein Obama." I said, "I'm not signing it." "Why?" Because there's a lot of fat. He said, "I'm not signing. It's got to have a 3 on it." Anyway, long story short, some of you have heard this. I got it down to, because first week they cut off $400 million. He said, "I'll cut." I met with the head of Boeing. "Wait, Dennis." I said, "Dennis, you got to have a 3. 5.7 is too much. 5.7 billion.
Right.
He said, "The most I'll take off is $400 million. I said, "Well, that's not bad for one conversation." So he got it down. I said, "Nope, I'm not accepting." Then he took off 2 more. Then he took off. Anyway, 2 months went by, 3 months went by. I thought we blew the deal, and it was okay with me. I didn't care. But we should have a new Air Force One. When we see these planes from Saudi Arabia, from different countries, brand new, and ours is like 32 years old, and it's a very different plane. It's a much smaller plane, the whole thing. The United States should have the best plane.
Okay, how are you going to cut government spending? And his answer is, we need a new airplane. So I honestly need to ask any Trump supporter. I mean, I'm begging you. This gentleman here is asking him a question about how are you cutting government spending. He basically ends it by saying, we need a new airplane. When you listen to that, what do you hear? And you go, well, that makes a lot of sense. And that's going to help me and my family. If we get a new Air Force One, that's really going to be big for us. And finally, we have a president that is doing something for us, the American people, and not this Kamala Harris who wants to give people $25,000 for a startup home, or cut the child tax credit, or extend the child tax credit and make it more, and continue to do things to help enrich the middle class. I want to vote for the guy that needs a new airplane. But we're going to give you another chance, because he was asked a question about breaking up Google here. So I want to give the Trump supporters another chance to listen to his answer here. And maybe this one's better. And you could go, well, maybe that last one was a little off. This really makes a lot of sense. Talking about breaking up Google, being a monopoly, it somehow leads into it. Just listen. Forget it. I'm not even going to set this up. It's so fucking amazing.
Justice Department is thinking about breaking up Alphabet, as Google likes to be known now. Should Google be broken up?
I just haven't gotten over something the Justice Department did yesterday, where Virginia cleaned up its voter rolls and got rid of thousands and thousands of bad votes, and the Justice Department sued them that they should be allowed to put those bad votes and illegal votes back in.
Quick reminder, this question was, what are your thoughts about breaking up Google?
And let the people vote. So I haven't gotten over that. A lot of people have seen that. They can't even believe it.
The question is about Google, President Trump.
Yeah, look, Google's got a lot of power. They're very bad to me, very, very bad to me. I mean, I can speak from that standpoint. They only have bad stories. In other words, if I have 20 good stories and 20 bad stories, and everyone's entitled to that, you'll only see the 20 bad stories. And I called the head of Google the other day, and I said, I'm getting a lot of good stories lately, but you don't find them in Google. I think it's a whole rigged deal. I think Google's rigged just like our government is rigged all over the place.
You would break them up, in other words?
I'd do something, but you have to have...
Okay, so that's his answer about breaking up Google, is that Google's unfair to me and something happened with the Department of Justice in Virginia. So 2 questions that he's asked in the Economic Club of Chicago. Finally, this last one is, well, he's asked a question, and just like every single time that he feels like a moron and he doesn't understand questions, and he's clearly not understanding any question, and he thinks he's just going to sail through this interview, just like he does every other one. The ones that he just sits down with and they allow him just to say whatever he wants, and they shake their head at him and go, "Oh, yes, sir, that's a great answer." Well, this guy's not letting him do that. So he gets frustrated. And what does he do? Like he always does, he attacks.
It's looking at the fact you are making all these promises. Latest one was car loans. You're flooding the thing with giving giveaways.
But we're going to grow.
I was actually quite kind to you. I used 7 trillion. The upper estimate is 15 trillion. People like the Wall Street Journal, who's hardly a communist organization,
yeah, but you don't know.
They have criticized you on this as well. You are running up enormous markets are looking at the fact you are making all these promises. Latest one was car loans.
Damn it.
Your Journal, who's hardly a communist organization,
yeah, but you don't know.
They have criticized
Okay,
you.
that's right. Look at him folding his arms like a little child not getting his way.
On this as well. You are running up enormous debt.
What does the Wall Street Journal know? I'm meeting with them tomorrow. What does the Wall Street Journal know? They've been wrong about everything. So have you, by the way.
With them tomorrow.
You've been wrong about
You're trying
everything.
to turn this. You're trying to turn this.
You've been wrong about
No,
it.
you're trying to turn this into debate. There are
It's
business
not a debate.
people. There are
but you're wrong.
people.
You've been wrong all your life on this stuff.
See, and that's where he gets a little bit more powers, because you have flying monkeys in the audience that are going to just clap at whatever he says, and they're going to make him the hero. And when he starts attacking, they're like, yes, that's the Donald Trump I love, just attacking because he doesn't know the answer to something, or he doesn't understand how to answer the question. So he's going to turn WWE wrestler, and that's why I vote for him, because he's good on the microphone. I don't really care what he does for the American people. I just care that he knows how to troll libtards, and he likes to attack people who are attacking him. That's my favorite part about him. That's why I'm going to vote for him as the world leader, the leader of the free world. I have to vote for this guy because he is going to make sure that Target doesn't have a rainbow T-shirt hanging up in their or whatever the hell it is. So I don't know. I just don't get it. I can't understand exactly, what's going on. But Kim Canadian says, I have no idea how I got here, but dude, what's your problem, Kim? I don't understand. You got to expand a little bit further. I don't know how you got here either. But welcome. I do welcome you to the show. But I don't understand what "but dude" means. You got to expand that a little bit more. And while Kim's trying to figure that out, I want to move on to Kamala Harris, back to her. She went into Fox News, and there were a lot of people who thought that might have been a bad idea. I don't. I never thought it was a bad idea, because when you're the president of the United States, you have to take on everybody and everything. You have to take on people who are friendly with you, and you have to take on adversaries, which include, world leaders. Unfortunately, we have a propaganda machine in this country that is just as adversarial as world leaders now. They are propaganda for not just a MAGA party, but they're propaganda in a way for Russia now. I mean, they are literally repeating Russian talking points. Russia has attacked this country on numerous occasions with false information, disinformation, misinformation. And the propaganda machine on the right not only doesn't just swat it down, but they repeat a lot of the lies. That is making this crazy, or this country, absolutely insanely crazy. But anyway, she was on with Bret Baier, and I was watching the beginning of it. I almost turned it off immediately, but I was like, you know what? If she can handle it, then I should be able to handle it. But Bret Baier, basically what he was doing in the beginning, because I don't know if anybody's on Twitter, but if you were watching Bret Baier on Twitter, he was replying to a bunch of people who were saying things like, oh, she probably got the questions ahead of time, and this is going to be an easy interview. Bret Baier is going to make it easy on her. They're going to record it, and they're going to chop it up and not play the entire audio. You know, the people who are already setting up for the fact that she was going to do well and just trying to find a way where she wasn't going to do well. Pretty much like Donald Trump is doing with this election. He's already setting up that he's going to lose. He's already setting it up so he can whine like a little baby and again get his flying monkeys to put on their sissy militia costumes and try to attack the Capitol again. But that's pretty much what he was setting that, or they were setting that up for. But Bret Baier was answering every single one of them. She does not have the questions. We are taping this as if it's a live show, and we're just basically going to run it as if it were live. So, you know, that's all that was. But anyway, in the beginning, he was trying to pander to these people, and he was interrupting her, wasn't even letting her answer the question that he asked, even though he's like, I'm going to get to the question. She's like, you already asked the question. I'm in the middle of answering it. You're not letting me answer it. Okay, so we're just going to do this, and that's fine. I'm a professional prosecutor. If you think you're getting over on me, good luck. And I think by the end of the interview, he found out just how good she was in this interview and just how good she's going to be as president of the United States. This was the one clip that got the full attention, and her wherewithal to immediately call him out as a liar and trying to mislead the people who are watching was brilliant. So let's take a look at this clip and see what happens.
You say that half of this country is now supporting this person who could be the 47th president of the United States. Why is that happening?
This is an election for president of the United States. It's not supposed to be easy.
I know, but
it's not.
Yeah, what kind of, well, I know what kind of question is that, because you're going to hear him try to lead her into an answer.
Supposed to be, it is not supposed to be a cakewalk.
So are they misguided, the 50%?
Listen,
are they stupid? What is
God,
it?
I would never say that about the American people. And in fact, if you listen to Donald Trump, if you watch any of his rallies, he's the one who tends to demean.
He's regretting now trying to set her up because he didn't know she was smart enough to turn this completely around on him and go, wait, you're talking about me being the one calling names? I think you got the guy you're rooting for is the way bigger problem.
And belittle and diminish the American people. He's the one who talks about an enemy within, an enemy within, talking about the American people, suggesting he would turn the American military on the American people.
We asked that question to the former president today. Harris Faulkner had a town hall, and this is how he responded.
I heard about that. They were saying I was like threatening. I'm not threatening anybody. They're the ones doing the threatening. They do phony investigations. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. He was the greatest gangster. No, it's true. No, but think of it. It's called weaponization of government. It's a terrible thing.
So,
Brett, I'm sorry, and with all due respect, that clip was not what he has been saying about the enemy within that he has repeated when he's speaking about the American people. That's not what you just showed.
Well, he was asked about that specific...
No, that's not what you just showed. In all fairness and respect to you,
that was the question that we asked him.
You didn't show that, and here's the bottom line. He has repeated it many times.
Be quiet, boy.
You and I both know that. And you and I both know that he has talked about turning the American military on the American people. He has talked about going after people who are engaged in peaceful protest. He has talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. This is a democracy. And in a democracy, the President of the United States, in the United States of America, should be willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it. And this is what is at stake, which is why you have someone like the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff saying what Mark Milley has said about Donald Trump being a threat to the United States of America.
He's quoted in the Bob Woodward book that way, yes.
Yeah. So anyway, she was right to be angry because they tried to set her up. And see, the problem with Fox News is when you run the same playbook over and over and over again, and you do the same bullshit over and over and over again, and 85 to 90% of the time that you do it on your network, you have no pushback. Nobody's pushing you back. They're all on the same page and they're all spewing the same propaganda. But you ran into a professional prosecutor. This woman is not to be screwed with. She is smarter than you. She is smarter than your producers. She's smarter than Jesse Waters, Laura Ingraham, and who's the other idiot? Sean Hannity. All three of them combined. She's 10 times smarter than all three of them combined. So you think you're going to get over on her? And by the way, let's play the actual clip of what happened on that town hall with Donald Trump and the women that they planted in that audience that were just fans of his.
Harris has said you sounded unhinged and unchecked power is in our future. What do you say about that?
I thought it was a nice presentation. I wasn't unhinged. You know what they are? They're a party of sound bites. Somebody asked me, can they be brought together? You know, I never thought, really, I wasn't thinking like they could, because they're very, very different. And it is the enemy from within. And
I see some comments, by the way. I will respond to them here shortly.
And they're very dangerous. They're Marxists and communists and fascists, and they're sick. I use a guy like Adam Schiff because they made up the Russia hoax. It took 2 years to solve the problem. Absolutely nothing was done wrong, et cetera, et cetera. They're dangerous for our country. We have China, we have Russia, we have all these countries. If you have a smart president, they can all be handled. The more difficult are, the Pelosi's, these people, they're so sick and they're so evil. If they would spend their time trying to make America great again, it would be so easy to make this country great. But when I heard about that, they were saying I was like threatening. I'm not threatening.
Okay, now there's the part of the clip that he only played. So he clearly said in there that they are the enemy of the people. This is Donald Trump talking about fellow Americans like myself, like Lana, like anybody else that disagrees with their point of view on anything, that we're not just somebody that we disagree with and he needs to try to win over and try to win their vote. What he's doing is calling me an enemy to him, which is, I mean, beyond outrageous for anybody that is running for president of the United States. To say anything like that is insanity. So when you come back and you say that he's a danger to democracy, that's why people say it, because he's calling his own citizens, calling them the enemy of the people, basically, is what he's doing. He's called his own journalists in this country, his own media, as the enemy of the people. This is all dictator fascist shit. This is in the playbook. It is clear when he says things like that. That's exactly what he's talking about. So I don't know. The way she handled that interview was phenomenal. And I think I'm going to address that. But first, let me get to these questions because I think it relates to this interview I have. Jody Gross says, what the hell has this guy been watching? She was creamed this week. Well, I'll tell you what I was watching. What I was watching was, after the Fox News interview, there were reports that she increased her favorability with independents by 30%. That's what I was watching. What I'm also watching is that when she is asked a question, she is able to stay focused and she's able to answer the question where anybody with at least a high school education can understand. When you hear Donald Trump answer these same questions, I don't know, Jody, if you were here for the clips earlier and listen to Donald Trump's answer about how do you cut government spending? And it went into he needs a new airplane, or how do you break up Google? And it went into the Department of Justice made a bad decision in Virginia that had absolutely nothing to do with Google. Maybe you can explain to me what exactly you've been watching. And if you want to explain that to me, I'm happy to look at it and we'll read it. But let's move on to Marilyn Gould. Seriously? Other side attack Trump all the time, and that is okay. And yet she does not answer any questions, and they cry wolf. I'm not really sure what you're talking about, Marilyn. We just played some clips. She answers questions. She is actually able to talk to people. And when she does talk to them, she says it in a coherent manner in which people understand what she's talking about. When Donald Trump is speaking, can you explain to me exactly what he is talking about? Baby Juggernaut, just like he says, he does the weave, he says. If any of you understand the weave, then you're either pretending like you understand it, or you are psychotic and there's something wrong with you, because the weave is nothing. The weave is something because he's made fun of all the time in his rallies, that he goes off on tangents and has no idea what he's talking about. So he hears people say this, right, on the news and everything. So now he's come up with this thing, like he is doing this masterful TV show where the beginning of the show is the end. And then the show goes on. And by the end of the show, you saw what happened in the beginning, and it all weaved together and it came together. I have yet to hear a Donald Trump story where the weave was legitimate. I've never heard him speak to where I went, oh, goddamn, actually that was pretty good. Because I'll admit it. If I'm wrong, show me. Yeah, here's my Marilyn, Jody, Kim, whoever you people are who want to argue with me. My email address is runshousepodcast@gmail.com. Send me a clip of what you thought was brilliant that he would classify as the weave. And I promise you, I will play it on the next show. If you show 2-3 clips, I will play all 3 of them. If I go, holy shit, I swear to you, on everything that I own, my dog, my cat that is sitting behind me, I will swear, I will be honest with you, if I see something that I've never seen before, and I was like, oh man, that's actually pretty good. The weave's pretty good. But how angry are you that active duty soldiers overwhelmingly support Trump? I'm not angry at that at all. Wait. Saw your white knight comment in your reply, old man. I don't even know what that means. But my active duty soldiers overwhelmingly support Trump. I'm not angry about that at all. I'm a little confused by it. I think that you do have, and I have seen a decent amount of people in the military who said they will never support him ever again after a lot of the things that he has said about the people in the military. His own general does not support him. People who are actually working for him in the military do not support him. But to answer your question, how angry am I about it? I'm not angry about it at all. I think anybody should support whoever it is that they want to. I just think that people don't put in the proper research as to why they are supporting somebody. If you're telling me that Donald Trump's going to be better for the economy because you saw a meme on it, but you didn't see the 16 Nobel laureates that said that Kamala Harris's economy would be way better than Donald Trump's, and in fact, Donald Trump's economy would not just lead us into higher inflation again, that we would be in a recession by halfway of next year. So to answer your question, vote for whoever it is that you feel best is for you. I'm not angry at anybody. I am certainly confused. Confused probably would have been a better word for you to use, and that one I could have answered more directly. But angry, I'm not angry at all. You have an IQ, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what that means. 105. Okay. And then we're mocking you white dudes for Kamala into oblivion. Well, back whatever your name is. Okay. I'm not sure what that means, but you know what? Do me a favor. Come back here on Tuesday, November 5th and join me. And you can mock me all you want to, because I'll be celebrating that night when Kamala Harris will be the next president of the United States, baby juggernaut. Not accurate soldier statement. My son is active. So there's somebody, like I said, this idea that the entire military supports Donald Trump, I think is sort of a misnomer. I think you probably have a majority. And when I say majority, I don't mean 80-20. I mean probably 55-45 of the military that still support Donald Trump. But I think he lost a ton of support. I really do. I think he lost a ton of support from the people who serve now and who were in the military, especially the 65-plus-year-olds. If you look at the polling and the way people are voting, the 65-plus-year-olds were definitely voting overwhelmingly for Donald Trump in 2016, not so much in 2020. And you're seeing more and more that the people in that age group are saying, listen, dude, I'm a Constitution guy. And that's the reason why I was voting for you, because you always talked about the Constitution. Now you're attacking our Capitol? No, that doesn't fly with me, dude. I'm telling you, with 65-year-old plus people, that did not fly well at all with them. And you're going to see that more and more of those people will not vote for him anymore. That's just a statistical fact. Coal World getting a lot of fun comments here. LOL, bro, give it up. You are trying way too hard. T24. What's T? Oh, Trump 24. Trying way too hard for what? What am I trying too hard for? I don't know what you mean, but and I think maybe that's probably the problem with the comments, is that people like to make quick, snarky comments, but it's hard to sort of decipher exactly what it is they mean. Baby Juggernaut seems to be the only one I understood so far tonight, but the rest of you, I'm trying to understand, I promise. And I hopefully I know I'm coming across as maybe that's angry at you. I'm not angry at you. I'd love to have more of your comments, but I just really don't know what you people are talking about. I usually don't, because I know where you get it from, because I hear this constantly. It's from the MAGA Playbook 101. You guys say the same exact things over and over again. You use the same exact words like cuck and cope. And I don't know, this corny vernacular that I understand that many of you probably don't have a vocabulary that reaches past these words that you learn on memes and you learn on Twitter. And that's okay. I'm willing to still conduct a conversation with you. I'll have to bring my intelligence down a few levels, but anyway, that's okay. If you want to continue to fire away, go ahead. But while you are typing your next brilliant comment, Donald Trump was able to talk to the voters, Latin voters, in fact, from Univision, and they had, in essence, town hall with him, and they were asking him some questions. And boy, did he get some questions, and the answers were doozies. Here's a gentleman asking him about the truth about people eating cats and dogs.
Authorities in Springfield, Ohio have more than one time clarified that the Haitians are not eating their cats and their dogs.
Sin embargo, usted les quiere revocar su permiso que tienen para residir legalmente en este país.
Nonetheless, you want to revoke the permit they have to legally reside in this country.
Mi pregunta, con todo respeto, es si usted verdaderamente cree que estas personas se comen las mascotas de la gente.
My question to you, very respectfully, is, do you really believe that these people are eating the people's pets?
First of all, you shouldn't ask that question very respectfully, but this gentleman seems like a very respectful gentleman, so good on him.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And this was just reported. I was just saying what was reported. That's been reported.
Yikes.
And eating other things too that they're not supposed to be. But this is
Wow.
all I do is report. I have not. I was there. I'm going to be there, and we're going to take a look. And I'll give you a full report when I do. But that's.
Hey, Back One R1 or whatever your name is, and Jody and Marilyn and Kim and all these people. Do you believe that Haitian migrants were eating pets? Curious to know your answer.
It's been in the newspapers and reported pretty broadly. I will say this as far as Springfield is concerned, because I do know that situation. You have a city of 52,000 people, and they've added almost 30,000 migrants into the city. If you were a person that lived there, if you lived in Springfield, Ohio, and all of a sudden you couldn't get into a hospital, you couldn't get your children into a school, you wouldn't be able to buy groceries, you could no longer pay the rent because the government's paying rent. Any of that, if any of that happened, it would be a disaster for you, and you wouldn't be happy. We want to make our people safe and secure, and we want to make them happy. But Springfield, Ohio is a perfect example. You have a town, a beautiful little town with no problems. All of a sudden, they have 30 or 32,000 people dropped into the town, most of whom don't speak the language, most of whom don't speak the language at all. And what they're doing is they're looking all over for interpreters. Well, I mean, I think you can't just destroy our country. It's maybe some people disagree with me, but you can't put in a very short period of time 32,000 people into a 50,000 people town and expect things to go well. It's a disaster. It's a total disaster. And the people that live there are, you know, they want to leave, they want to move, because if you read about it or talk to them, people want to move, they want to leave, because they've never had anything.
I don't even know why I'm letting this.
And we can't let that happen to our towns
but
and our cities and our country. Just can't let it happen. It's not sustainable. I appreciate
that guy's
the
like, yeah,
question.
okay,
I
I'm done listening to this stupid shit. Again, you're a Trump voter. You just listened to that answer. What about that answer are you going, that makes complete sense? That made 100% complete sense. I know exactly what he was talking about, because if you do, please explain to me what he was talking about. Baby Juggernaut says, MAGA doesn't want any conversations happening unless you're licking Trump's boots and kissing the ring. She also says, Trump's numbers are way off in Springfield. No accountability for being wrong. Absolutely no question about it. I think sadly, Ohio, who's voted blue before, I believe with Obama, has totally gone into sort of a red state. And, my only hope is that him disparaging the people of Springfield could help Sherrod Brown get over the top to keep his Senate seat in Ohio. And that is certainly possible, because people are very, they take their community seriously, and they're very protective of their community. And I believe that if you walked into Springfield, Ohio, and even if you are a Trump supporter, you would hear the people in Springfield, Ohio say, nah, that I'm not down with. I mean, I know a lot of these people. Some of these people are my neighbors. They're very good people. And in fact, everybody that I've heard interviewed from Springfield, Ohio, said not only are they good neighbors, they came here to work, and work they do. And they are very good workers, and we appreciate them in our community. They have helped increase our production here in Springfield, Ohio. And they're very welcome here. So this attack on them, and not even an attack that has a grain of truth to it, it's an attack so incredibly insane that I have to wonder that you look at this and say, I'm still voting for him. I have to question either your intelligence, I have to question your motive here, I have to question just who you are as a human being, because you're saying that you're okay with a guy flat lying about migrants eating pets. That just is not happening. There's no proof of it. I don't want to see a comment. I don't want to see anybody go, you should see the interviews of people in Springfield. The police department, the mayor, the people of that town, everybody's saying it's not happening. I don't need any more convincing. I'm convinced it's not happening in Springfield. And the fact that we have somebody that is running for president of the United States and his stupid running mate going around trying to convince people that this is happening because they're so desperate to win this election that they know they're losing. And I know this is going to be a surprise to Trump people, because you guys, I see it on Twitter. Trust me, I know exactly what you guys are being told. I know exactly what is happening in the MAGA sphere on Twitter and on social media and stuff like that. You guys are 100% convinced that this is over, that Kamala has no chance and that you are walking to victory. I've got terrible, terrible news for you. She is going to win, and she's going to win big. Do you know why I know this? Because you could just actually, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter why I know this. Rob Roberts. Let's see what Rob Roberts has to say. Let's put him up on the screen. Rob says, what a joke she is. LOL. That's another. LOL seems to appear in every one of their comments. The Americans will never elect a woman. LMAO. Well, you know, Rob Roberts, I would have probably have agreed with you maybe, I don't know, maybe even 8 years ago. Well, obviously 8 years ago. Technically, we did elect a woman because she did beat him by 3 million votes. So, you know, if we had a system that made sense, then we kind of already have elected a woman because Hillary won by over 3 million votes. You know, despite the Russian propaganda that flooded our social media, despite James Comey doing an investigation, a baseless investigation against Hillary Clinton just a couple of weeks before the election. She still won by over 3 million votes and really lost the election by a total of about 11,000 votes through 4 different states, whatever it was. So I disagree with you. I think if you were to say that about 10, 15 years ago, I probably would have agreed, but I think that we are past that now. And I think that on November 5th, that you're going to be pretty surprised that we will hire a woman to be the president of the United States. Baby juggernauts, trolls and bots hired by Elon Musk, Brian. They're out in full force, baby juggernaut. But you know what? I don't care. You know, I deal with this on a constant, consistent basis. I get it in the comment section all the time. You see it on Twitter all the time. I mean, it's the same. And it's just kind of boring because they say all the same exact things. There's LOLs. They're like, dude, you're coping and you're a cuck. And it's just so dumb. I mean, it's like, I don't even know, you know, how to respond to it. But I will tell you, when I do respond to it, you know, some people I see in the comments saying, all you want to do is name call. And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm just responding to the people who are name calling me. If you're coming at me like an idiot, I'm coming back at you like you're an idiot, because that's how you're acting. If you come at me and you ask me a question that is civil, whether I agree with it or I don't, I am happy to answer it civilly. But if you're going to come at me like a fucking moron, then I'm going to treat you like a fucking moron. So here's here we go, Barbara. Are you serious? Kamala was so bad on the Fox interview. She is done. Well, that's I've heard that, Barbara, on the whole MAGA sphere. And when you go in the MAGA sphere, my guess is that they have already typed in, she is so bad at this and she's done. Oh my God, Brett Baer killed her before the interview started. All that was already typed out. All they were doing was waiting to hit enter after the interview played, because there's a 0% chance, 0% chance that they would have come out and said, man, she actually did pretty good. Now, I did hear some real Republicans who don't have a bias and are not flying monkeys for Donald Trump that did say she was actually pretty impressive. And I got to give her a lot of credit for going into Fox News. If you listen to my show after the debate with Donald Trump and Joe Biden, I was willing to admit Joe Biden did not do well. He did he well underperformed in that debate. And you could see what happened because of it. He well underperformed in that debate, and now he's no longer the candidate. And now we have a new candidate, and her name is Kamala Harris. And I feel very, very good about what we're going to be announcing in a couple of weeks. I have one more clip from Univision, but let's get to this other comment. Dr. Watson, the podcaster is exhausted and he has nothing good to report about Kamala. Are you talking about me? Well, okay. I don't know if you're just now joining the show. I've said plenty good about Kamala, and I also do believe that I am going to report something very, very, very positive about Kamala in about a little over 2 weeks. But before I get to Barbara's last comment, her comment here, I do want to play one more clip, and this is the clip at the Univision town hall that got the most response. Gentleman asked him about January 6th, and his answer is just astounding.
I am a Republican, no longer registered though. I want to give you the opportunity to try to win back my vote. Okay. Your, let me say, action and maybe inaction during your presidency and the last few years sort of, was a little disturbing to me. What happened during January 6th and the fact that, you waited so long to take action while your supporters were attacking the Capitol. Coronavirus, I thought the public was misled during coronavirus, and that many more lives could have been saved if we would have been informed better. And also people in your administration who don't support you. I'm curious how people so close to you and your administration no longer want to support you, so why would I want to support you? If you would answer these questions for me, I would really appreciate it and give you the opportunity. There's, your own vice president doesn't want to support you now.
Thank you, Ramiro.
So the people that don't support a very small portion. We have a tremendous, about 97% of the people in the administration support me. But because it's me, somebody doesn't support, they get a little publicity. The vice president, I disagree with him on what he did. I totally disagreed with him on what he did.
He disagreed with the vice president who all he did was abide by the Constitution and do exactly what you were supposed to do. But he disagreed with it because he's a small-brained moron.
Very importantly, you had hundreds of thousands of people come to Washington. They didn't come because of me. They came because of the election. They thought the election was a rigged election, and that's why they came. Some of those people went down to the Capitol. I said, peacefully and patriotically, nothing done wrong at all, nothing done wrong. And action was taken, strong action. Ashley Babbitt was killed. Nobody was killed. There were no guns down there. We didn't have guns. The others had guns, but we didn't have guns. And when I say we, these are people that walked down. This was a tiny percentage of the overall, which nobody sees and nobody shows. But that was a day of love from.
Well, he keeps saying nobody shows it. Why doesn't he show it then?
From the standpoint of the millions, it's like hundreds of thousands.
Look at that look he just gave him when he said that that was a day of love. He's like a Latin Robert De Niro right there.
Thousands. It could have been the largest group I've ever spoken before. They asked me to speak. I went and I spoke, and I used the term peacefully and patriotically. If you look at the Democrats, what they say, you look at Maxine Waters and you look at Hillary Clinton. And
so that was his answer. First of all, he was disparaging Mike Pence for doing the right thing, and then called January 6th the day of love. So I know in the MAGA sphere that they want to call this a day where tourists were walking around, because this is, again, I call them the flying monkeys, and I will continue to call them flying monkeys because they just repeat and regurgitate everything Donald Trump says. And they think it was, but the vast amount of the American people take this very seriously. And this is an issue for them. And his answers to these are never popular overall with the American people. Even there are some MAGA people who looked at that and went, no, yeah, that one was kind of a bridge too far for me. And it should have been a bridge too far for everybody. The fact that guy literally let his people, and that's what I'm calling them. I don't want to hear anything about how Antifa was there and they were letting people in. Because first of all, if you're that stupid to where a few people who were Antifa, first of all, Antifa doesn't wear a uniform. They don't, first of all, Antifa doesn't even really exist, you idiots. It's just something you see a few people every once in a while put on a costume and call themselves Antifa. This is not a real group that goes around and, is in different rallies and different events all the time. In fact, I've never seen Antifa in my entire life. But if you're that stupid that it's Antifa and they're waving you in, why would you follow them if it's Antifa doing it and you are going to follow in and then start ransacking the Capitol? Explain that to me. But second of all, there's absolutely no question. There was weapons there. There were zip ties there. There were flagpoles they were using. And yes, there were guns on the premises outside of the Capitol. Luckily, no guns made it inside that I know of. But there were weapons there. In fact, what's the thing that you go through and it lets you know if there's a gun or not? Trump and them were telling them take those away because they wanted more weapons to go into that Capitol. And Donald Trump 100% wanted that to happen. And when it did happen, he did nothing to stop it. He sat there and watched it and smiled. He laughed with joy and with pleasure and hoping that somehow they got in there and were to somehow flip the vote and that he was still going to be president. This is how fucking stupid this moron is. And anybody that looks back at that and agrees with one thing that he did on that day, you shouldn't be allowed to vote. You shouldn't, because that to me is flat out egregious. That is disgusting. And the fact that not only is he allowed to run for president for doing that, but he's a fucking convicted felon, 34 counts, and he's a liable rapist. And you have Christians out there who are voting for this guy. Get the fuck out of here. Let's go back to some of these comments. Sorry, I missed some of these. But I'm a good host. I want to answer all the questions. Let me see if I got these. Baby Juggernaut says MAGA doesn't want any conversations happening unless you're licking Trump's. Oh, we said that one already. I went back too far. All right, hold on. I'm getting to your very, very, very smart questions. Okay, dumbass libs. Okay. Damn it, where did I leave off here? Okay, I think I know here. Okay, Barbara Hanley. We are all for a woman president, not a moron. Kamala has set women back 30 years, showing that they can't be taken seriously. How has she set them back 30 years? I don't understand how she's done that. I find her to be very bright. I always thought she was smart. Way before she was running for president, I saw her in those Senate hearing meetings, and she was brilliant. In fact, I couldn't wait. Every time they had one of those Senate hearings, I couldn't wait till she started answering questions because I knew she was going to light the idiot up that was sitting there that she had to question. By the way, Barbara, I don't know if you understand this or if you know this. This might be interesting for you since you're calling this out and you're saying she's a moron. Do you realize when she wins in just over 2 weeks, when she wins the presidency of the United States, did you know, this goes for all of you, did you know She will be the only person in the history of this country. Think about every single person that has ever been born in this country, billions of people. She's going to be the only one ever to serve in all three branches of government, the executive, the judicial, and the legislative branch. She will be the only person to serve in all three branches of the executive body there, or legislative, or the government body there. So to say she's not qualified and to say she's a moron, I don't know, Barbara, what exactly have you done in your life to where she's a moron and you're not? Next one, Michael Butler. Trump hardly sleeps. Kamala hides behind her ineptness. The Trump hardly sleeps part, that may be true because you could see him up at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning rage tweeting about what he just saw either on Fox News or on CNN or on Twitter or on Truth Social. He's certifiably insane. And that's what insane people do. They stay up all night and they rage tweet at people. And, you know, people had always said, I'd rather have a guy who tweets and you're, you know, oh my God, he's a scary tweeter. He doesn't scare me when he tweets. It's embarrassing for the American people and just for America altogether that this is the way a guy who was president and wants to become president conducts themselves. That's beyond embarrassing to me. It's not scary. Michael also says that America doesn't need Kamala. Again, the flying monkeys, just repeating all the little nicknames. Again, that's another thing that Donald Trump likes to do. He likes to call people nicknames. Well, Brian, you call us flying monkeys. I'm not running for president of the United States. So that's why I will call you flying monkeys, and I will continue to call you flying monkeys. Michael Butler, this show is boring. Sorry to bore you, Michael. I'm sure there's probably a MAGA show on somewhere that would entertain you way, way more. Aimless Cowgill. This is laughable. She is done for. Trump is winning. I don't know if you heard me earlier, Aimless Cowgill, but Trump is not winning. Kamala is going to win. And I hope you prepare yourself for that evening because that's exactly what's going to happen. She is going to win. You could join me live if you'd like. I will be here on Tuesday night when that happens. You know, listen, at the end of the day, it's still closer than I want it to be. If Trump wins, will I be shocked? I won't be shocked. But, you know, just from what I've been seeing and just what I've been reading and from people that I have talked to, I feel pretty confident about this. Giles Bowman, getting a lot of people. And by the way, all of you guys, thank you for joining. I really appreciate you joining, whether you like me, whether you don't like me. It seems like a lot of you do not like me very much. Who is Brian Rundle? Well, I'm happy to tell you, but there's a follow-up. Harris never answered a single question from Brett Baer, and she's a moron. Is it Giles or Giles? I'll call you Giles. Giles, and if it's with a hard G, let me know and I'll correct it. I'm not the kind of guy that's going to go out of my way like a child and call you the wrong name on purpose. But Giles, I hope I've got that right. I don't know. I'd go back and rewatch that interview and maybe with a clear head. I don't know if you had kids running around while you were watching it or you just had an automatic bias going into it. But if you could do me a favor, just say, you know what, I'm going to clear my head for the second time. I'm not going to have a bias and see if she did or did not answer any questions. I think she did. In fact, we played a clip on something. Not only did she answer the question, she called out the interviewer on his misleading clip and the lie that he tried to set up, that in fact, he even admitted afterwards, said that he made a mistake and played the wrong clip. So I don't know if you saw that or not, Giles, but do me a favor, go back and watch it, and you can either comment on the video below once the live feed is over, or you can email me at runshousepodcast@gmail.com and tell me what your thoughts are. And, you know, if you still didn't think she answered a single question, then there may be some comprehension issues that you have, and we might have to explore that, and I'll help you with that as well. But who is Brian Rundle? Brian Rundle is a very frustrated New York Mets fan. as you can see. And one thing I will ask you to do, Giles, is unless you're a diehard Dodgers fan, if you can help me pull out 2 more wins in the next 2 games, that would mean a whole lot to me, because that means the Mets are in the World Series and came back from a 3-1 deficit. Look, I don't want to bore you with this, but this means a lot to me. There's a lot more to me, too, than just the New York Mets, but we don't have a lot of time. Again, if you're really that interested, email me and I'll tell you some more. Next comment, Baby Juggernaut. If Trump were ahead, you would all wouldn't be here trolling. You would be on MAGA pages supporting your guy. That Baby Juggernaut, this is why I'm glad you're here, and I thank you so much. You're exactly right. They're scared to death. They are scared because, again, I'm not really sure what they're looking at, because they keep saying Trump is winning, Trump is winning. When you look at the composite polls and you look at all the polls and you add them all up, Trump is not winning. He's not winning this election. Now, I know there are some swing state polls that are concerning, and they're concerning to the Harris camp. They're concerning people voting for Kamala Harris. But see, the problem is a lot of them are virtually tied. But some of them have polls so outrageously ridiculous that it skews the averages on these polls. When you have polls like Rasmussen that has Trump up 6 in Wisconsin, I'm not saying that that's necessarily that's in that particular one, but that's just an example of one that could happen. It skews the polls and makes it look like it's closer than it is. And quite frankly, and this really sucks about our media, is that the media needs this to feel closer. They need it to be close, because all people are doing every single day is with a paper bag, blowing in and out of it, watching news to hear good news or bad news about their candidate, so they can figure out how they can go on a small YouTube show and troll the other guy, or try to intelligently speak about what's happening in this election. But let's get back to the comments here. Giles, this guy Rundle is a typical Democrat loser. That's another thing. They like to use the rat thing. There's really no sense in going further with that comment, because it's just it's immature and it really is below me. Betty Caudell, thank you, Betty, for joining. That's bullshit. He goes, more than her. She has been dodging interviews, and for good reason. Well, Betty, explain to me. She did 60 Minutes. He did not. He was supposed to do an NRA interview. He did not do it. She did a Fox News interview. I'm not sure of his interview on the opposite side, like an MSNBC, maybe a Rachel Maddow. I haven't seen him do that. He canceled a CNBC interview just this week. He also canceled an NBC interview. So I'm not really sure what interviews you're talking about, other than really kind of a setup town hall with women who are already Trump supporters, hosted by a Fox News person. And he sits in on a lot of bro podcasts. You know what I'm talking about, the Joe Rogan type podcast where these idiots have zero idea about politics and they just think it's cool to have Trump there, and they're riffing about dumb shit and they're just going to agree with whatever he says. So I don't know, Betty, after what I just said, can you maybe re-explain what I'm missing, or maybe what you're missing? Maybe I explained to you and you came to some light as to what you're missing. Babylina. Hey, Babylina. Kamala is one of the dumbest people on earth. Okay, thanks for your comment, Babylina. Pieces of my memory. Oh, if she answered policy questions, she would be a lot better off, but she hasn't and continues to rather attack her opponent. She's been answering policy questions every time I hear her. I know a ton of her policies. I know about the $25,000 for homeowners, for first-time home buyers. I know about the child tax credit. I know about the stuff that she wants to do for the middle class. I've heard every time she talks about, she's talking about her policy. She's talking about what she wants to do for the American people. So I think people are just hearing what they want to hear. They're not hearing, we're in a day and age now that it doesn't matter who the opposing side is. You're just not going to listen to a word of what they have to say, and you're not going to believe it. You're not going to give credit. You're not going to do any of that stuff. You could certainly accuse me of doing that with Donald Trump, but again, I played plenty of clips, and I've given you the opportunity to explain to me exactly what he's talking about when I'm playing these clips. Again, when you ask him, what are you going to do to cut government spending? And you're saying, I need a new airplane. Please explain to me when you hear that, what you hear and you go, that's the guy I need. He wants a new airplane. That's how we're going to cut government spending, because he also brought up Barack Hussein Obama. And I love when he does that. And that's good for me and my family. Aimless Cowgirl is back with, okay, she watches all the information. She's completely incompetent. And I voted for Biden and Harris. And now I realize, no, you didn't. You're a liar. And how bad of a mistake that was. Not this time down with the Democrat progressive fascists. There is a 0% chance you voted for Biden and Harris. Don't give me that bullshit. That's another thing that I hear you idiots say to me all the time. I'm not an idiot. If you think I am and you want to continue that, I'm going to ignore it. There is no way you voted for Biden Harris. No chance. Natasha, he rambles and lies like Kamala. Trump told the people to be peaceful, to go home. I assume you're talking about me rambling. He did not tell the people to go home when he did, or he did, but he did it, it was 4 hours later. He sat there and watched it. He watched it in glee. There are reports that were in that room of people who said that they saw him watch it with glee and they loved every second of it. So you could sit there again and gaslight each other, because this is a word that people use a lot all the time. And I've said it before, is that you think you're gaslighting me, or Donald Trump thinks he's gaslighting me. He's not gaslighting me. He's gaslighting you people. And then you people gaslight each other into this nonsense. And you repeat and regurgitate every single word he says. The fact that this guy has gone his entire life being a terrible human being, and this isn't me just wanting to say it because I don't like the guy. I choose who I like and who I don't like based on the character of who they are, not because they have Republican or Democrat. There are Republicans that I like. I like Mitt Romney. I don't have a reason to hate Mitt Romney. There are people, I have Republican friends that I like that I don't hate. But you know what? They don't like Donald Trump either, because he's a terrible, awful human being. And this is way before he ran for president. Way before. And so if you're going to sit here and try to convince me that he's this perfect angel, never does anything wrong, and we're just out to attack him, go take it somewhere else. Kamala is a wreck and her husband is a wife beater. We're going to run through these because, again, they're all going to be the same exact nonsense. By the way, you're so angry. I think you need a minute to calm down. I will agree with you. That one I may agree with you, because again, I would say that the word is more frustrated. I would call it more frustrated. And I'm frustrated with my fellow Americans. I am frustrated that they are so easily duped and that they go around and regurgitate this nonsense. And part of it, I don't believe that you guys are that stupid. I just don't. But the problem is that if I don't believe that you're stupid, then I have to believe something else. I have to believe that maybe this is coming from a place of a hatred towards people who are not like you. And even though Donald Trump does nothing for you personally, this hatred that he spews satisfies something more inside of you, that it is more important for you to vote for that than for your own best interest. And even though I can repeat things that I have learned about the economy, things that I have learned about immigration, all this stuff, and I can show you the facts on it, that you won't care, because you've already been programmed. You already know I need to vote for this man because of the hate that he satisfies in me. And I think that's why I'm frustrated. And, you coming in to the comment section here and just sort of amplifying this to me is frustrating to me, because I at the end of the day, I do think that there is good in all human beings. Every single one of you, I do believe there's good in you, but I think you're allowing the hate that the whole MAGA movement is really about. I think you let that take over. And that's frustrating to me as a fellow American. It's frustrating that I have friends and family that get sucked into this. And that's frustrating for me. And that doesn't make me sad. That doesn't make me mad. It makes me very sad. So, but you're on the right track. I'll give you that. Okay, we saw that one already. Exactly. Good job, Barbara Hanley. Aimless Calgo agreed with something Barbara said earlier. Baby Juggernaut. Love how we set precedents with Tina Peters, 9 years. She gets to think about effing with our elections. Yeah, that's another one. That was so satisfying to watch. Watching her sitting up in front of the judge like she's going to explain what's really happening. And it's just like, I'm not one of your idiotic next door neighbors that you think you're going to convince that this thing was stolen. I looked at the facts. You're going to jail. Now get the fuck out of my courtroom, you dumbass. Virginia Collar, Trump is awesome. Best president ever, 2024. US, a lot of hearts, a lot of, was that a hang loose and a big smile. So Virginia seems ready for the election, and she's a big fan of Donald Trump, thinks he was the best president ever. I still have yet to hear anybody tell me what his biggest accomplishment was. If anybody that's still watching, maybe a lot of you have tuned out already, but if you are still watching, what was Donald Trump's biggest accomplishment? What exactly did he do that you loved so much his first go around? I am very curious to find out what that is. Barbara's back. She knows what questions and issues are going to be brought up, and yet she can't even fake a good answer. She has a pathological inability to answer a direct question. What are you talking about? What questions? Well, first of all, if you're running for president of the United States and you are not prepared for the type of questions and issues that are going to be brought up, you shouldn't be running for president of the United States. That's probably the best case that you've made, Barbara, as to why Donald Trump shouldn't be president of the United States, because he knows the questions and still can't answer them. He's so stupid. He doesn't know how to answer any of these questions, but I'm not really sure what exactly is the problem of running for president and being prepared to answer questions. That's a bizarre one for me. That one I don't get. I'm sure that floats around on Truth Social and you guys make fun of it. But if you take a step back and really understand what it is that you're saying, I'm not really sure what the big issue is of understanding the questions and issues that you're going to be asked. Unbelievable. Here we go. Ha 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 ha. This guy is a joke. The polls are not close. Trump is totally winning, but he is funny. Well, I appreciate that. I am funny. I was named class wittiest in my class. I'm not going to tell you what year that was because it'll give away my age, but I will tell you it is a very, very long time ago. But I appreciate your comment. Barbara's back. And why the weird accent changes? She lost me right there. So you're telling me that you were going to vote for Kamala Harris, you thought about it, and then you heard her change an accent during one of her interviews, and you said, that's it, I'm out. She lost me right there. If that's the case, this is why I'm really concerned about the way people vote in this country, or the way they pretend to vote, because that's just not true what Barbara said. I know that to be, even though I don't know her, I can confidently say factually that she did not think about voting for Kamala Harris, and then she was lost because of an accent change. That didn't happen. How about you go back into the comments And what about people like me who voted for her previously and now won't? You didn't vote for her previously. I'm just telling you, you didn't, because I woke up from the Trump derangement syndrome. There you go. The Trump derangement syndrome is the other thing that they like to say. That, the good news is that when Kamala wins, all of this is going away. The MAGA cockroaches are going to crawl back into their little holes, and they're going to go away, because these are people who were not involved in politics at all. None of them followed politics. They didn't talk about politics. They couldn't spell politics. But now this guy who comes out and says bad things about Mexicans, who says bad things about the LGBT community, when he says all this stuff, they're like, holy shit, this guy is reaching right into, he's pushing my hate button. And I love this. So now we have what I watch every Monday night is professional wrestling. Now we've got a professional wrestler who is going to run for president of the United States. I can be down with this. So now these are the kind of intellectual, or I should say non-intellectual discussions that I have to have with people about politics. CUCK, COPE, TDS. These are the kinds of conversations that just are embarrassing to me, that I have to have with you kind of people. And when I say you kind of people, I mean idiots and morons. When I say idiots and morons, I mean on the political aspect, politically stupid, politically moronic. You might be very bright in some other aspects of your life, and there are probably some things I can learn from you in some aspects of your life. But when it comes to politics, you're ignorant. All of you, you're very ignorant. I've been following this for over 25 years, and I still don't know more than everybody. But I can tell you this, I don't make up little nicknames. I don't have little sayings like TDS and COPE and CUCK and all this dumb shit. This is the, if I were to approach somebody about a political subject, I'm not going to start with name calling. I'm not going to start with, I will engage in name calling. You've heard me do it tonight, and I will absolutely continue to do it tonight, because this is what I get thrown at me. But if I am sitting in a room with somebody and I know they're MAGA, I'm not going to go, hey, you cuck, why don't you cope with this? Yeah, I don't do shit like that. We're going to have a civil, regular conversation. But when people sit in comment sections, this is their whole life. They like to sit in there and they like to do what is called trolling. Trolling's a big thing for people in their life, because they really don't have much other things to say, and they can't speak it in an intelligent way. So they use the same language that they've heard over and over and over again in True Social and Twitter and True, all these different things. But let's go down. Trump 2024, sure. It's going to be a repeat of 2016. Hillary and Kamala. Who's Kamala? I don't know who Kamala is. Oh, you left an A. Kamala are angry women, not presidential. I think they're actually extremely smart women, and certainly presidential, and they're way more presidential than the dumb fuck that we have running for president right now. Trump 2024. Is that the second time? Oh, no. Okay. There's just a few people. Wow. I voted 3 times. First for Jill Stein and last for Biden. And now, why didn't you vote for Jill Stein the last time? Why didn't you vote for her in 2020? Again, you didn't vote for Biden. You didn't. Laughing my ass off. Trump is blowing this liberal hack out of the water. Cami has blown her way to the top, and it's over. See, this is this is where I go back to the kind of conversations that you have to have with Trump voters, not Republicans. I don't even call you people Republicans, because you don't know what a Republican is. You never knew what a Republican is. You just know the word Republican, and that Donald Trump's associated with it, because in this country we have, for the most part, a 2-party system, which, if one day goes away, I wouldn't be completely upset with it. But again, these are the kind of conversations that you have. This is not about what Trump would do for the country. This is not what disagreement they have with Kamala. These are things that they take. Like I told you, It's not just the racism. It's not just the xenophobic stuff. It's the misogyny thing. It's that this woman never could be where she was if she didn't blow her way to the top. There's absolutely no indication that Kamala Harris blew her way to the top. But I can tell you one thing that she's going to blow. She's going to blow the fucking roof off and blow Donald Trump right out of this election in about 2 weeks. So again, I've told you before, prepare your little militia costumes, go put them on and go drive up to Washington, D.C. and try to stop the steals, you fucking idiots. Nobody said he was perfect, but she is worse. Okay. Baby Juggernaut. Trump's own family won't support him. Hadn't been seen with him in months. Yeah, Melania sat with him at this. I don't even know what the hell that was last night. This Al Smith dinner. I never heard of it. Now all of a sudden it's getting all this play, but she, I guess, forced her way to go to that dinner. But for the most part, she won't be seen with them. I never see the kids with them. Again, everybody in his cabinet, pretty much half of his cabinet won't support him. You have people out there who now those are people I hear all the time. I hear the former Trump supporter who says there's no way that January 6th was a bridge too far for them. There is no way they will ever vote for that man again. I said it earlier, the 65 plus year olds who really do take the Constitution seriously and who take the processes of how government works in this country and how serious the peaceful transfer of power is in this country, they take that seriously. And they say, nope, never voting for that ever again. In fact, on Tuesday's show, I'm going to have a clip of two older gentlemen in the most Trumpiest county in Georgia who basically said that we are not voting for this guy ever again because of what happened on January 6th. I don't want the transgender movement. Here we go again. There is no transgender movement, but let me finish your comment. And I'm tired of people using abortion as birth control. That's not a thing. I mean, it is a thing, but I'll get to that in a second. And I'm tired of censorship. And I'm tired of government control. Okay, let's take each one by one. I got to go here. I mean, I've been here on for 2 hours or an hour and a half, but there is no transgender movement. So what you guys say is a movement is what you want us to believe, or you want somebody of intelligence to believe, that there's a bunch of school teachers, there's a bunch of government officials, there are a bunch of people in this country now who are going out of their way to teach their children and your children that it is okay for you to change gender, and you need, in fact, we encourage you to do this. Transgender people make up 0.6% of the population. I said this before on a show that I did when I was doing my podcast. Do you know there's a transgender people showing up in your bathroom? Do you know there's a 2.5 times better chance of an alligator showing up in your bathroom than a transgender person? There are 2.5 times more alligators in this country than there are transgender people. So you guys continuing to try to make this a thing that people need to be scared of. And I got a note more news for you. Nobody's becoming transgender so they can get into a sport and beat up your daughters. This is why this country is losing it. Now I'm mad because it is stunning to me how stupid people are. Not one person, you aimless cowgirl, not you, the truth hurts, not you and everybody else on here that has commented. None of you, not one of you can tell me how your child, you personally have been affected by a transgender person. Nobody that you know, nobody that they know, none of you can, not one. And you're going to sit here and tell me you don't want the transgender movement. There is no movement. There's nothing happening in your life. This is how they get you. I'm going to try to explain this to you. I hope just for a second you be quiet and just listen to me for a second and just maybe take it in. It's going to make you angry, I know, but just take it in and maybe do a little research. Your party that you are dying to vote for has zero plan for everything. Ask Donald Trump, what are your plans for healthcare? Oh, it's going to be beautiful. I have concepts of a plan. Well, wait a minute. When you were president, you said one was coming out in 2 weeks. What was that one that was coming out in 2 weeks? What was that plan? Oh, okay. Donald, what you said that Mexico was paying for this big, gigantic, beautiful wall that apparently we're going to keep immigrants out. Where was that? Yeah, in 2017, there was a lot of people that were coming into this country, and that was reduced significantly. Part of that was due to laws that Donald Trump tried to implement, and then they were found unconstitutional, so he couldn't do that. 2018, guess what? Those border crossings went up. Guess what happened in 2019? They doubled in 2019. Donald Trump didn't do shit to stop immigration coming into this country, but you people think that he did. He didn't. But anyway, my point is that they tell you all this stuff, like transgender people. Why do you notice that Donald Trump is in his rallies? He keeps talking about transgender people. He keeps talking about immigrants coming from insane asylums and coming from jails and coming from all these places. Gang members are busting through the country and killing and raping, when statistically that is barely happening. Again, anybody you know, anybody they know, not one of you have been affected by immigrants. Not one of you. None. But this is what they do. They fill your head and they put boogeymen in your closet and keep releasing them at you because they have zero plan other than to make their very, very, very rich friends more and more rich. So how can we get people who are not helping? How can we get them to vote for us? Well, I know exactly how we do it. We scare the shit out of them with shit that's not happening. And by God, it fucking worked. And it's difficult to express how frustrating it is, how simple people are, and how easily they are tricked and fooled into this. I just brought up that transgender people, immigrants, all this stuff, none of it is affecting you. And you will, if you're being honest with yourself, if you're being truly honest, and you're going, maybe he's right. It's really not affecting me. But you know what? Fuck it. I'm still going to be mad at it. I still want to be angry at it. Then what's the point? What's the point of having these conversations? You're tired of people using birth control, abortion as birth control. Listen, I'm not a woman. So I made it a rule that I don't speak for people that that don't affect, I don't speak for things that don't affect me personally. So if it's something that it's important to them, so like the LGBTQ rights, that's very important to them, and there's a community of people large enough to where there are certain rights that are trying to be taken away from them. So I will listen and try to understand best of what they're going through, what they're asking for, and then make an assessment from there. Same thing with women, same thing with people of color, same thing with immigrants, all this stuff. I listen and I understand their struggles in a lot of these things. Not personally, I understand them because I listen to what they have to say, and it all makes sense. Now, if there are some individuals who come to me and say that they, are having grievances, then you have to take that with a grain of salt. But when you hear large communities and over and over and over again, they have a lot of the same grievances, then maybe there is something to it. So unfortunately, what happens is, and it's just, this is just really a fact. And I'm not saying it's all white people. I'm not. But the majority of people who vote for Donald Trump are just white people. They just are. And what they like to do is they have that demographic of white people that they like to scare because they go, look, you know what? the reign that we've had for hundreds of years in this country is all coming to an end if you don't step up and let me do something about this. And that's why I'm afraid a lot of people vote for Donald Trump, because they get maybe even a lot of people aren't even really aware that it's happening to them. I think they just get into their senses and they allow them to get fooled. They allow themselves to get fooled into it. And at the end of the day, it just sounds good for them. And that's why they vote for him. But at the end of the day, he does nothing for you. Absolutely nothing. The establishment is the problem. That's why I'm voting for Trump. Trump is the establishment. I don't know what you're talking about. All these people, they're all... The Heritage Foundation is going to be running the government. The Heritage Foundation has been part of the Republican Party for decades. They have set the blueprint for the Republican Party, and they are going to set it again if a Republican ever wins presidency again. But the way they're going now, I really don't see how that happens. And a socialist movement, there is no socialist movement. That's another thing they scare you with. That's not happening either. First of all, we already in a way have socialism in this country, and you are benefiting from it. So is the military. So are police officers. So are firefighters. The roads you drive on is socialism. Medicaid, Medicare is socialism. Social Security is socialism. Again, it just drives me nuts how people just don't understand, a lot of the stuff that they are being benefited from. And all of this stuff will be taken away from you if Donald Trump and JD Vance win. Let's see. Kamala is not authentic. Please explain why she does fake accents. We already went over that. Oh, you mean dumb shit like pronouns? Yeah, that's really not a big thing for me. If somebody is a transgender and they say, hey, would you mind calling me she? I'm like, yeah, I don't give a shit. Why not? So I don't know why that would be big deal for anybody. I mean, seriously, what goes on in your brain where that really angers you? I mean, seriously, I'm asking seriously. So like, if there's a transgender person and they say, hey, if you don't mind, I'm a he, even though I was born a woman. What is it in your brain where you go, oh man, I just can't do it. I don't know what no way means. I am not a Republican. I'm an independent. Can you read? Okay, that's fine. You're an independent, but you didn't vote for Biden and Harris. I'm just telling you. I don't believe you. You have followed politics for 25 years and never heard of Al Smith dinner. Yeah, I mean, whatever. I know it's some Catholic thing. So Wall's family were all wearing Trump shirts. If you go back, if you'd like to look, in fact, some of the people on Fox News even said it, that these were like third cousins that never really even met Tim Walz. So in a way, they are associated in family by some measure. But if you want to fact check that, Barbara, if you care to fact check that, you would find out that it was like third distant cousins that never really even met Tim Walz. Gender is not fluid. We already went over gender. Then why is Harris for taxpayers paying for gender surgery for inmates? God. She is not what she said when she was asked that question is she will follow the law. There are laws in place. And guess what? It is up to Congress to change laws. This is why I ask you people that are in the comments here. Do you understand how government works? Do you understand that a president just doesn't walk in and go, I run shit now, and what I say goes? Do you or do you not understand that that's not how it works? I'm asking seriously. Do you or do you not understand? Do you understand that the House needs to pass laws and that they send it over to the Senate? The Senate, if there's any revision, sends it back to the House. They come to an agreement, then send it to the president to get it signed as law. Do you or do you not understand that? What Kamala Harris said is she will abide by the law as it states right now, and that's what the law is. So let's see. She said it and doubled down on it. I don't know what you're talking about. Republican aligns with my conservative values, limited government. Well, then you definitely don't want to vote for Donald Trump. Limited government. He's as far from limited government. First of all, oh my God. Strong military. I don't care if Donald Duck was the president. This country is always going to have a strong military. Again, you're being suckered. You're being suckered into thinking that our military is weakened. Our military, I say this as a proud American because I'm proud of my military and I'm proud of how strong they are. I am proud to say that our military, that if anybody fucked with us right now in a way, that that needed an answer to it, it wouldn't be fun for them. That I can promise you. Our military is as strong as it's ever been. Our military will always be strong, regardless of who the president is. So this idea that a Republican president has a stronger military is absurd and ridiculous. But thank you for your comment. My foster brother is trans. You're closed-minded. What do you mean? Children don't need this punishment on them, period. What punishment? I don't know what you're talking about. I already told you, I'm not talking about. First of all, no child is turned into a woman. No little boy is turned into a girl, and no girl is turned into a little boy. That doesn't happen. Again, they're trying to scare you. Do you not understand this? They're freaking you out. Try to come up with a case where there's like an 8-year-old that was a boy and now is a girl. Come up with one case where somebody did surgery on a little boy or a little girl to make them. Come up with one. Come up with one. I dare you. Lies, buddy. You need to find another job. This isn't my job, but your politics are ignorant and effed up Trump 2024. Again, no substance to his comment, but he's calling me ignorant and says Trump 2024. Conspiracy theories are the everyday routine. Baby juggernaut, conspiracy theories have ruined this country. We have conspiracy theorists. I said this before on our show before, that conspiracy theorists used to walk away from. You're like, oh boy, I got to get the hell away from this weirdo. But now they're not only in the mainstream, they're in the government. People like Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's a lawmaker and she's in government, and she thinks that Democrats are steering hurricanes towards red states. Are any of you out there, do you believe? It doesn't even matter. I don't even want to know the answer because that would just depress me if any of you say yes. Oh my God, you have 4 people watching. Actually, it says 32 people watching. You might have been watching on something else. But soon you will be talking to yourself and making it 3. Watching now, I'm leaving 2. Bye, Charlie. Or Cherry. Thank you for joining, Cherry. But there are more than 4 people watching. But thank you for updating the count. Welcome to the Trump train, aimless cowgirl, the Trump derangement syndrome. Again, there we go again with that stupid shit. I'm going to go to the next one because that is cornball stuff. I think I'm almost done. Did we get to this one? The Heritage Group was used by Bill Clinton and Obama. Do your research about Project 2025. I did plenty of research about Project 2025. In fact, I read 200 pages of it. It is 900 pages long. I didn't get the other 700. So but I did get a lot of the gist of it. So I am versed on Project 2025. And I would suggest that maybe you do your research on Project 2025. And the Heritage Foundation was not used by Bill Clinton and Barack Obama. What are you talking about? I don't think you saw the Fox interview, which was a disaster. We went over that already. I'm hoping she is packing now to get out, then take her to Venezuela. She likes him better than us. That's stupid. President signed the bill into law. That is correct. Basically just what I said. But first of all, the Congress has to pass it. I'm from Portland, Oregon, and the state can take custody of children if their parents won't allow them to start gender reassignment process. I'm not familiar with that law. I will be happy to look that up. It sounds to me like there would probably be a lot more to that than just some child at 10 years old saying, I want gender reassignment. And the parent says no, and then the government comes in and takes them. I don't know. There's something in me tells me there's more to that than that law. I'm not familiar with it. I'll admit it. So I'm not going to try to go any further on it. But anyway, I'm not going to go any further anyway, because I've been on for almost 2 hours, and I did enjoy you guys coming in. Thank you for your comments. Regardless of what you think of me or what I think of you, I wouldn't say it was a conversation that went anywhere. It probably didn't. It didn't definitely go with me anywhere, and I'm sure it didn't go with you anywhere. But I will tell you this: I welcome every one of you back. We will be back. You could come back and join me on Tuesday night. My partner Lana Quest will be with me on Tuesday night. Maybe you'll like her better. In fact, I know you'll like her better than me. You're not going to like me, but you'll like Lana. You'll like Lana. Well, maybe you won't. Yeah, I'm not going to say why, but anyway, either way, come back and see us Tuesday nights. If you don't mind, please I'm going to ask everybody to hit the like button. You probably won't. Probably got some thumbs down buttons too, but that's okay. I really don't care. I just appreciate the people coming in and joining. I appreciate all the comments. I appreciate anybody that would like the video, subscribe to the channel if you don't mind. Hey, look, if you don't like me, you could subscribe to the channel so you can at least remember Tuesday night if Trump wins. Because if Trump wins, I'll be on here live. Lana, not necessarily sure she's going to join me because she might be a little bit too freaked out about what's happening that night, but we'll figure it out. But anyway, Tuesday night, 8 o'clock live, we'll be back here. I thank everybody for watching me tonight. Please like, share, subscribe, all that bullshit, and we will see you on Tuesday night. Thanks again, guys. Bye.